Adventure bikes are great, but this motorcycle is built for people who want to combine the world of hardcore off-road riding with a little bit of roof riding. Guys, this is a new KTM 390 Enduro R, and it is just not a dressed up ADV. It is a proper hardcore machine built for riders so that they can go to places where most bikes can't. This bike is lighter, taller, tougher, and finally KTM has managed to give Indian riders something that feels and looks true enduro. But is it all spec sheet and no soul, or has KTM finally managed to build like a small capacity weapon that can take on some of the toughest trails that Indian market offers? I am Pratheek Kunder, you are watching BikeWale, and this is an in-depth review of the KTM 390 Enduro R. One look at the 390 Enduro R and it is clear. This bike means serious business. I mean, it's nothing flashy and there's nothing older here. It's all about function over form. Up front, you've got a high-set fender and a minimalistic headlamp unit. No windscreen, no bulky plastics, just what you need to get to the rough stuff without anything getting in the way. The tank is narrow, the seat is long and flat, and the rear end is as clean and purposeful as it gets. Even the taillights looks like an afterthought, and that's not a complaint. That's KTM telling you this machine is built to be ridden hard, crashed, picked up and ridden again. The exposed subframe, the spoked wheels wrapped in aggressive off-road tires, and the extended suspension travel, all of it screams pure enduro. No frills, no fluff, just business. Now, enduro bikes are not really meant to give out plush comfort, and the 390 Enduro R stays true to that philosophy. Now, on this motorcycle, the seat is a single-piece seat, it's narrow, it is firm, and it is not really built to take you long distance. When you're riding for a couple of hours, it's more for movement. Like for example, enduro motorcycle, when you're riding off-road, you need a lot of movement so that your off-road experience goes to a different level, and this seat does that. The stand-up ergonomics, well, as you can see, it's not really meant for taller riders like me, but if you are like 5'6", 5'7", which is in average Indian height, stand-up ergonomics when you're riding off-road would definitely help you have a lot of fun in the off-road trails. I mean, in terms of overall ergonomics and comfort, don't expect this motorcycle to be as comfortable as the 390 Adventure S or the X. This is an enduro motorcycle. Close to 80 to 90% of the time you're going to be riding off-road, and the overall seating triangle, the seat position, the single-piece seat and the foot peg position are all meant for off-road riding. But for taller riders, standing up and riding could be a big problem, as a rider has to bend quite a lot to grab the handlebar, and the high-set foot peg position makes things a bit worse. But even while standing up and riding, the balance feels spot on. That said, if you're planning to commute or tour on this, be warned. This is not your typical adventure bike. The focus here is off-road control, not comfort. But if your playground is the dirt, you will feel right at home. Now, enduro bikes are not exactly built for plush comfort, and the 390 Enduro R stays true to that philosophy. The seat is narrow and firm. It's designed for more for movement than for long hours of highway cruising. You can slide forward, hang off the side, or shift your weight back with ease. It's meant to give you total freedom when the terrain gets technical. Now, when it comes to the quality, KTM has taken a bit of a no-nonsense approach with the 390 Enduro R, and that's both good and worth talking about. This isn't a bike trying to impress you with glossy finishes and premium touches. The plastics are tough but basic. The exposed welds look solid, and the paint is more about durability than dazzle. Everything you touch, from the levers to the foot pegs to the tank shrouds, feels rugged, ready to take a beating. And that's what you want in an enduro. This bike is built to survive drops, crashes, trailside fixes, not Instagram close-ups. That said, the switchgear could have felt a little more tactile. It works, sure, but doesn't give you that premium click you'd expect from a near 4 lakh rupee motorcycle. But when it counts, like the subframe, the foot control mounts and the overall structural rigidity, KTM hasn't cut corners. It's built like a proper off-road machine. KTM developed the 390 Enduro R for only one simple reason. And the reason is for riders all around the world to have a lot of fun in off-road conditions. But that raises one very crucial question. How does this bike behave when you're not chasing trails and instead dealing with city traffic, smooth highway, and twisty tarmac? Powering the Enduro R is the same 399cc liquid-cooled single-cylinder motor that KTM fans are already familiar with. On the road, it feels refined and responsive. There's a nice linear buildup of power and it doesn't feel snappy or too aggressive, something that's quite useful in bumper-to-bumper city traffic. The motor is decently tractable enough to cruise at low speeds in high gears, and that makes urban riding surprisingly easy. On the highways, it can sit at 90 to 100 km per hour comfortably, but beyond that, wind blast becomes an issue due to the absence of a windscreen. Also, the gearing feels slightly shorter than the 390 Adventure, which helps in the dirt but makes the engine feel a bit busier on fast tarmac sections. The bike decently deals with speed breakers, potholes and broken patches, and honestly, I was quite surprised. But with the access to full adjustability up front, this could have been a bit predicted. However, the handling takes a slight hit compared to its road-biased 390 Adventure X. The 21-inch front wheel, tall suspension and off-road tires result in slow turn-in and less grip on asphalt. You have to work the bike a bit more in the corners, and sudden changes in direction don't feel as crisp. It's not nervous, but it's not razor sharp either. And the suspension, that's where KTM has done a good job. Long travel suspension up front and off-road tuned rear monoshock and lots of ground clearance means this bike can take proper beating. Roots, rocks, jump landings, it takes it all. But the Europe spec 230mm suspension would have been a better option. Why? Because we deserve only the best. KTM India has finally listened to this demand, and we now have the global spec 390 Enduro R on sale at 3.53 lakh rupees. You also got switchable ABS traction control that actually lets you slide and riding modes that adjust for off-road conditions. And on trails, the 390 Enduro just feels right. Light, flickable, planted. It rewards skill but also forgives your mistakes, and that balance is rare at this price point. It's time to give you a verdict, and I'll start that by saying the KTM 390 Enduro R is without a doubt a purpose-built motorcycle. But that doesn't mean it compromises its on-road usability. On the tarmac, this motorcycle feels surprisingly manageable. The engine is familiar, the throttle response is predictable, and the KTM's electronics, like the ABS and the traction control, works really well in urban city condition as well as when you're riding really fast. That said, the overall sitting triangle and the overall ergonomic setup does lean towards the dirt. The tall bike stance, the firm seat, the presence of these off-road tires means comfort and grip aren't really its main strengths. Long distance touring? Not ideal. What about daily commutes? Can do, but it won't be enjoyable unless you don't have some really good trails or broken road in your route. Now, the off-road place is where this motorcycle earns its badge. The lightweight chassis, the long travel suspension, the narrow bodywork is what makes this motorcycle a proper trail weapon. But for taller riders like me, this motorcycle, the overall sitting triangle doesn't really work because we have to, when you're standing up and riding, you really have to bend a lot because the handlebar is low set, the position of the pegs are center set. But for someone, the average Indian, when I say average Indian is about 5'7" to 5'8" height, this motorcycle is going to be fantastic to ride in off-road conditions and obviously road conditions. In the end, the KTM 390 Enduro R is for those kind of riders who doesn't just want to look the part but also live it. So if you're one of those who loves to explore various trails during weekends, loves to take a lot of detours and loves to push your limit as well as the bike's limit, the KTM 390 Enduro R is for you. But if you're someone who loves to spend most of the time on smooth tarmac, then there are other motorcycles in the KTM 390 family. I think you should go for that. That's all we have for you today. If you have any questions regarding the KTM 390 Enduro R, let us know to the comment sections. We will try to answer all of them. Thank you so much for watching.